On this episode, our exploration of the Eastern Sierra continues. Along the way, we'll tackle a stunning ridgetop trail, confront a dark chapter in American history, and hunt for a secluded campsite in what can only be described as an amusement park for off-roaders. It's the morning of day 2, and I am up early to catch the sun rising over the Eastern Sierra from our campsite perched high in these rugged mountains. Good morning. Last night was not bad, although it was a little bit cold. It was probably in the high 20s, but thankfully I got a new sleeping bag, and this thing is awesome. I'll share more about that later, but it was my first test in the new sleeping bag, and it was super comfortable all night long. I was barely layered up, and even down into the upper 20s, it was great. But this morning, we've got perfectly clear skies, no clouds anywhere to be seen. We've got the mountain backdrop right behind us, and I've just been enjoying the morning, drinking some coffee. Got some breakfast burritos on the fire that we made ahead of time, which, by the way, is a great camp tip, making breakfast burritos ahead of time and then just throwing them on a campfire. Super easy way to make a delicious breakfast. And we're just going to take our time this morning and enjoy the rest of these views. These mountains behind us are just absolutely spectacular. And pretty dang happy with this first night's camp spot. But today we're going to move along in a few hours, pack up camp, and head to the next spot. So stay tuned for that. All right, tell us. I said don't take another bite.
All right.
Tell us what's in the breakfast burritos.
In the breakfast burrito, there's Italian sausage, eggs, cheese, seasoned tater tots, refried beans. I think that's it. Am I missing anything? Yeah, that's it.
I think that's it.
It's good.
They are excellent. After what proved to be a relaxing morning, it was time to get back on the trail. Our first challenge of the day came quickly, as standing between us and the trail was a semi-steep rock garden that would require some careful tire placement to safely navigate.
short while later, the trail began working its way along the top of a narrow ridge. And as it did so, we were gifted with expansive views in every direction.
All right, so we just finished our first trail, buttermilks, still don't know. And yeah, it was a great warm up for the trip. That was a lot of fun. Today kind of took us over some ridge tops, which was great. And you really get a wide variety of scenery and terrain and landscape with that trail. So if you're passing through Bishop, it's pretty easy, but there's some fun sections. Only takes maybe 3 or 4 hours to complete. So I would give it a thumbs up. But anyway, we are now airing up so that we can hit the highway for a short while and get to our next destination, where we're going to hang out and camp tonight.
While en route to the area we'd be camping for the night, it was suggested that we make a stop at Manzanar, a National Historic Site and a somber reminder of a not too distant past, where following the bombing of Pearl Harbor in December of 1941, over 120,000 Japanese Americans were forced to leave their homes and property behind and live in internment camps. 2/3 of those interned were native-born citizens. Manzanar was one of 10 such internment camps, housing 10,000 Japanese Americans between 1942 and 1945. The arid landscape here made for blistering hot summers and harsh, cold winters. In spite of these difficult conditions, those interned at Manzanar tried to make the best out of the situation, creating expansive gardens, recreational programs, and even a local publication. Today, Manzanar is a National Historic Site operated by the National Park Service, with a few reconstructed buildings showing what life was like for those interned here during the war. And while it's certainly not a particularly pleasant part of American history, I would say that it is worth a visit for anyone who is interested in our nation's history, simply to reflect, remember, and honor the past, and help ensure that it never happens again.
All right, so we have been driving for just a couple hours. We decided to stop for lunch at a National Historic Site. We are currently at Manzanar, and we were trying to find a shady spot, but we couldn't find anything. We're in the desert, so we actually ended up stopping here and setting up everyone's awnings. While I'm at it, I figured I will go around, help introduce you all to the fine folks who are joining us on this trip, so come with me. All right, so we're gonna start off introductions by introducing you to one of my best friends from, how long have we known each other?
We say 5th grade.
Since 5th grade. This is Connolly and her daughter Abby. Connolly, tell everybody the truck you drive, and if you had to eat a crayon, what color would it be?
Hi everybody. I drive Carl. Carl's a 2007 Land Cruiser. And if I were to eat a crayon, I would go with green.
And then Abby, meet everybody. Tell us how long you've been overlanding, and if you were a crayon, what color you would, if you had to eat a crayon, what color it would be?
I've been overlanding for 2 years, and if I had to eat a crayon, I would eat a blue crayon.
All right, now I want to introduce you to Michelle. Michelle is also part of the Carl crew. So, Michelle, introduce yourself, let everybody know. As far as roles when it comes to overlanding, do you prefer driving or spotting? And if you had to eat a color for a crayon, what color would it be? Gotta get that right.
So my name is Michelle, and if I had to pick, I used to want to be a driver until I almost tipped the car over, and now I do not want to be the driver anymore. And if I had to eat a crayon, I don't know, what did Addie say? I think I'm gonna do the mac and cheese crayon. It's a color and it's mac and cheese.
Yep. Someone really likes mac and cheese. Now, I want to introduce you all to Derek.
Hi everybody, this is Penelope, my 2000 Land Cruiser. I've been overlanding a little less than 2 years now, I think about 1.5 years or something. And if I had to pick a crown to eat, what color would it be? I'm thinking like red, because like sriracha or ketchup or spicy, I mean, yeah.
Next, I want to introduce you to Dylan. Dylan is riding in Derek's truck. Dylan, can you tell everyone how long you've been overlanding and what you're actually riding on this trip?
I think like 1 or 2 years. Most of the time I'm riding in my dad's car, Derek, Penelope. We also bring my e-bike or our e-bike this time, so every now and then I'll ride that one on the parts that I can. And if I had to eat crayon, it'd probably red. And that's
Red.
the original one.
You are your father's son.
So.
All right, now I want to introduce you to Liana.
Yeah, hey, my name's Liana. This is my first time overlanding. I chose to come because I've known Michelle and Connolly for several years, and they said we're going overlanding. I said cool. They've been pretty enthusiastic about it. I like to do a lot of hiking and backpacking, and so I thought I'd come along and see what it's like from the overlanding perspective. Purple's my favorite color, so I'm gonna roll with that.
All right, next I want to introduce you to Corey.
Hi, I'm Corey. I drive a second generation Toyota Tacoma, and I've been overlanding for, this will be what, 3rd year doing it? And if I had to eat a crayon, I guess I'd eat a brown one, because I don't want to know how long it was been inside of me.
After finishing lunch, we headed off to our final destination for the evening, the Alabama Hills. Here, we planned to camp for the night, although upon arrival, it quickly became apparent that finding a campsite would be more challenging than we anticipated. After striking out on a number of more accessible sites, all of which were occupied, it became apparent that in order to find a campsite, we would need to find some more challenging trails, which we hoped would be inaccessible by van or RV. Eventually, we found exactly that. Drawing a crowd of spectators who had decided to turn around at a particularly steep and rocky hill, we surmised that defeating this hill could be our ticket to a secluded campsite.
High center. There you go.
Spurred on by the cheers, Derek opted for a full send approach. Hill conquered, the search for camp was back on.
Passenger. Okay, that's your line straight out.
Woo!
Alright, there you go. You're good. Keep turning the wheel. Okay, straight out. Straight out. There you go. Hold the passenger. Okay, straight out. You're good.
last, we'd found camp. However, with it came a nearly insurmountable challenge: sorting out parking.
Alright, that should be good right there.
All right, so an update for you. We found our next campsite. We are in the Alabama Hills. It's pretty interesting, actually. It's kind of like, it was kind of described to me as like an amusement park, and it kind of is. There are a lot of people here. It was actually a little bit tricky to find a spot to camp, but we came down a little bit rougher road, and sure enough, we came to the end of it, and there was nobody here, so that worked out really well. So we've got this campsite that you can see behind us, which is great. We're surrounded by these cool rock formations pretty much on all sides. And so it should be a good night. We're super protected from the wind, so even if it gets windy tonight, it shouldn't be a big deal. So we're just gonna enjoy ourselves. And the nice thing is we don't have to be out early tomorrow, so we should be able to enjoy ourselves tonight. There's lots of flies around here. And yeah, enjoy the sunset, which is going on right in front of me right now. And then call it a night. So another great day, and looking forward to relaxing and making some dinner. All right, the sun just set, which means it's cooled off, which means I think we're all coming out from under our shade structures. It was hot today, so Christine is starting dinner. Let's see what we got going on. What's for dinner?
Making grilled cheese and tomato soup.
Ooh, but not just any tomato soup.
My tomato soup.
The best tomato soup. I think if you've watched any of our other videos, you probably saw one video where I was like totally guilting Christine because I told her she never makes his grilled cheese sandwiches, and we had it on a camping trip, and it was actually true. I wasn't making that up. And now she's making them regularly. So whatever I did, it worked in my favor. But I can't wait to eat these. The moment of truth. It's like a commercial for a grilled cheese place. All right, first bite, see what we got. I'm telling you, you could open up a food truck that was just grilled cheese with this tomato soup, and it would work.
Satisfied by the world's greatest grilled cheese, we kicked back, ending our day with what turned out to be some seriously spectacular stargazing.
We are at our stargazing spot.
Yeah, this property is kind of an anomaly. 20 acres surrounded by Forest Service land. It's private because it's an old gold mine. Turned it into this stargazing camp.
All that and more is coming up in the next episode. So be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing.